Hey everybody, this is Steli Efti with Clozo, and in today's video I want to talk about how to set up a successful content marketing machine for your SaaS company. So this is a question I've been asked a ton. I realized just recently how many times I've given this answer and helped lots and lots of other startups set up a really killer content marketing machine, but I've never talked about this with all of you, so I wanted to capture some of those tactics with you. So if you're a follower of the blog that we have at Clozo and our marketing, what you might have noticed is that we create a high quantity and hopefully high quality level of content that has built our brand and is today our main marketing channel, right? Our entire marketing team at Clozo does one thing: content marketing. A lot of people ask me, Steli, how do you guys produce so much content and such high quality of content? I see you guys everywhere. It's insane. And when I tell them that our marketing team is basically two people, right, it blows their mind. It blows their mind. And I'll share with you our tricks and tactics on how we're able to accomplish a ton with a very tiny team, and also why we chose the strategy we chose and how you can learn and utilize from it. So first things first, why should you choose content marketing as a big strategic point of your marketing? Well, I do believe that out-teaching your competitors is one of the best ways to build a brand. And having a brand in a world that is so crowded, especially in the SaaS space, the SaaS space is so crowded today and there's so many competitors to your tool, no matter what the hell it is that you do in SaaS, that creating a unique brand and positioning actually matters a lot more than it used to. And it matters as much as it does in some consumer categories that seems super outdated to people that are in technology today. So people learning from you, people reading about you, people consuming your information, your content to learn how to do their business better, will ultimately fall in love with your brand, will ultimately feel that they have a relationship with you. You will feel familiar to them. And at the time when they are looking for a software solution, they're going to be looking at you and to you first. I'm getting about 5-6 emails every single week of people telling me and thanking me profusely for all the content that Clozo has produced, for all the things they've learned from us. And are telling me that one of their milestones in their new company's journey, one of the milestones that they've set, one of the goals that they have is to grow the team to the size and the company to the size where they are going to be a Clozo customer. Now think about this. Think about the power and magic of that. When people at the very beginning of their career, all they want to do is become successful enough to be able to give you money. That's powerful, and I'm incredibly grateful for every single one of these people. So content marketing is amazing, right? And I'm not going to ramble too much about why it's so great. I'll tell you why we decided to focus on it and put all our chips on it. And that's because when we launched Clozo in January 2013, we looked around at all the competitors that we had, and CRM is the most competitive space in SaaS. We realized that we realized that we would not be able to out-advertise our competitors. We would not be able to outsell them either. They had, some of them had tens of thousands of sales reps. We would not be able to out-PR them. There were a lot of things where if we played that game, they would win. And we only want to play to win, not to play, right? We not just want to participate in a certain marketing channel. We want to dominate it. We want to be the best at it. We want to crush our competition in it. And as we were going down all the different marketing channels, one stood out, and that was content marketing. And when we looked around at all the blogs and all the content that our competitors were putting out there, we thought it was crap. Now, we were a little arrogant. We still are probably. And we may or may not have been right about it, but that was our thesis, our hypothesis, our opinion, our point of view. We looked at those blogs and we said, this content sucks. I would never just read this type of stuff. This is all written for search engines, all just written as clickbait. There's no real substantial tactics, and it's all outdated. There's no sales content that's fresh, that is current, that speaks in a voice and in a style that is not like 1983, douchey sales rap, corporate sales rap jargon. And we thought we know more about sales. We are, better at storytelling and better at content than all of these competitors. So that's where we're going to put all our chips in. And this is the channel we are going to dominate. This is going to be our play to win versus what a lot of our new competitors did was trying to play just to play, right? Just trying to participate in doing everything, competing on all fronts with these massive organizations and competitors. We try to focus on one, laser focus, and really penetrate deeply and dominate. So that's how we chose content marketing. And in hindsight, 4 years later, it turns out that we were right. Up until this point, we've never done anything else than content, and we've built a multi-million-dollar business and a really big brand just by doing content marketing. Now, how did we set up our machine? I'm going to tell you honestly how we did it, and then I'll tell you what lessons you can learn, how you can translate that to your business. When we started, we thought, let's start with a blog as a publishing platform. And we're going to be publishing one blog post per week. And our main concern was to make these blog posts highly tactical and actionable. We wanted them to be written in a way where when you read them at the end of it, you've learned something you can immediately put into practice, right? And we wanted to do it with as little fluff as possible, as little words as possible, and as little bullshit as possible, right? So that's how we started. And at the beginning, it was just me doing the blog myself. So what would happen is I would start writing a blog post, and it would take me a week, oftentimes 2 weeks, to really finish a blog post and publish it. But we would see success. We would see that people resonated with it. They shared it. We got new trials. We got traffic. So we were seeing early signs that content will really work for us. But the problem was that we weren't able to create it at a high enough quantity. I, on my own, could only write a blog post maybe every 2 or every 3 weeks in reality. And I was always struggling. I was always, stressing out about it. Eventually, we hired a second person or the first person as a marketing person to the team to work with me on the blog. And the idea was that I would just write a rough draft, send it to Ramin, who was our #1 marketing hire, and Ramin would work out a second and third draft and publish it so that we would be able to get from like a 3-week cycle to publishing posts to a 1-week cycle. Now that worked well, I would write these drafts up, I would send them to Ramin, and he would finish them. We would go back and forth a few times and publish it. And the quality of the post really got up, the writing got up because of his editing, so it had a lot of benefits, but it was still a struggle. And it was mainly a struggle because he still relied on draft #1 from me, and I still struggled writing these drafts among all the other things I was doing as the co-founder and the CEO of Close. So there were times where we would publish every week, and then there were times where, it would take 2 or 3 weeks again to publish something just because I was the bottleneck and he had to wait for me to send him what I call the raw material of your content assembly line, right? We'll talk about this a little bit more. So eventually, and one day, Ramin got so frustrated by waiting, like he would constantly send me an email and say, hey, where's the draft? I'm waiting for the draft. I can't do any work. Send me the fucking draft. And I would always be like, I didn't have time today, I'll do it tomorrow. I had writer's block today, I'll do it tomorrow. And eventually he got so fed up that he texted me and said, all right, motherfucker, just hit the record button on your iPhone and just talk me through the blog post. Tell me the strategies, just talk me through it and I will write it. And on my way home, driving, I was like, okay, let me give this a try. So I clicked voice recorder on the iPhone and I started talking him through the post. And it took me about 7 minutes to do so. And by the time I got home, I sent him the voice recording. And the next day he had a draft that was as good as mine, if not a lot better. And that was the mind-blowing aha moment. I thought, holy shit. This took me 7 minutes to do. This was so easy, so much easier than for me to write the draft. It's just to talk through it. Holy shit, let's just do that from now on. So we did that a few times and it worked really well. And then one moment I realized if I stop referring to it as the blog post in those audio recordings, right? In the audio recordings, I would say, hey, Ramin, so in this blog that we need to write, the tactic is this. And in the blog, you should really highlight that. And the blog, really, it's important to talk about this and that. I was like, if I stopped saying and referring to it as the blog, and if I stopped referring to him specifically as Ramin, we could just publish the audio. I could just have an audio recording that could be a podcast. There's me talking through the strategy, the tactic, the story that I wanted to teach, and Ramin could turn this into a blog post. So we did that. And then I realized if I did this on a webcam, just like this one, a simple webcam with a simple, not even any fancy microphone and shit, I could have video, audio, and the blog post. So we would create 3 forms of content. And that's what we did. And that turned into our raw material, because here's what we realized, and this is unique to our strengths. I can talk through a tactic, a strategy, a blog post in a video like this with no prep whatsoever. It would take me the 5, 10, 15 minutes that I have to talk through it. It's one take. I never take 2 takes. We don't edit. We don't do any fancy shit with it, to be honest. And I realized, and I told Ramin after we did a few of these, I was like, dude, I could do a video like this every single day for the rest of my life. And he was like, the skeptic that he is and the realist, and he was like, whoa, just chill out, cool down. Like, let's not set expectations too high. But in reality, for the first year, I honestly and I actually did, a blog post every single work week. Monday to Friday, I did 1 to 2 videos every single day. And then it got a little harder, right? I had like 10 years of entrepreneurial stories to tell and strategies to share. So then it got a little slowed a little down, and it turned into like 2 a week. And eventually at this point, 4 years into doing this, I probably just produce 1 a week, 1 or 2 a week. But that was our aha moment. We realized that we could create easily at high quantity video that we would turn into video, audio, and written content. And that's been our process forever. I create these videos, and Ramin and the team on the marketing side turn them into blog posts. Now, one part of our strategy, why our content machine works so well, is that we realized the first step is to find your raw material, something that you can produce at high quantity and high quality, right? And for us, it's video. For somebody else, it might be tweets. They could do tweet storms and then turn these tweet storms into blog posts and other form factors. For others, it might be long form written content. For other companies, if you have a really amazing designer, it might be visual graphical designs as a starting point. Maybe you're a PowerPoint wizard, so you would create slide decks as your original raw material for your content assembly line. It might be a number of things. I don't know what it is for you, but for us it was video. And the first step in your content marketing machine strategy is to find your raw material. What is something we can create at high quantity and high quality? And a form factor, something that can be then turned into multiple widgets of content, multiple forms of content. So this is the second really important part of our content strategy, is that we only did evergreen content. My videos are always evergreen. Evergreen means it's original and it's timeless, right? So the basic principles of almost every single video that I've ever created, most of our blog posts, it doesn't matter if you read them today, 5 years from now, or 5 years ago. Actually, we have some amazing content that is 4 or 5 years old on our blog, right? It's timeless. It still stands the test of time. We didn't do any gimmicky shit. We didn't do any collecting shit. Like, here's the 5,000 pieces of advice 5,000 random people have given on a certain subject. We didn't do the, you won't believe, it's Halloween, you won't believe what happens in startup sales today. We didn't do anything that was too tied to a fashion or a fad or a trend, to other companies, and we didn't write content for search engines, right? Although we ranked really high for a lot of our content, we didn't write for search engines. We wrote for an audience. We wrote for our future customers. And we took the approach that we're going to teach our customers how to excel at sales. And if we do that, they're going to, it's going to be a 2-part strategy. They're going to read our content to learn how to do selling really well, and then they're going to use our software to empower them to do selling really well at scale. So if you do evergreen content, you can take that original raw material and push it down the assembly line and turn it into multiple different pieces of content. Remix and repurpose the shit out of your content. So here's what we do. We publish a number of these blog posts on any given topic. And once we have enough work around a certain topic. We take all these blog posts and we'll turn them into an ebook. We'll take a number of blog posts and we might turn them into an online course or an email course. We might turn them into a SlideShare or a TweetStorm. We might turn them into a podcast or any number, or a Quora answer, right? So for a while we were really successful in Quora. What we would do is we would go to Quora as a Q&A community, and we would look, like after we created the video, we would look for somebody who asked the question that this video answers, or somebody that asked the question that this blog post, this strategy answers, and then we would edit the blog post to make it more naturally and more focused on being an answer to that question and post it on Quora. Right? We would take these blog posts and repurpose and edit them a little bit and post them on LinkedIn. We would remix and repurpose the fuck out of them, turn them into all kinds of different form factors, and that would create the appearance, that would really be the amplifier of our content, the leverage point. It would create the appearance that we are everywhere. Because nobody reads your stuff everywhere, nobody sees it everywhere, but it creates this impression that shit, everywhere I go, I find some really valuable shit that Close has published. You guys are killing it. But all we had to do is create a 10-minute video, a 15-minute video that took me exactly 15 minutes to create as a raw material, and then we push it down, turn it into a blog post, take that blog post, and we turn it into an ebook. We turn these ebooks into online courses. We take them into Quora answers, LinkedIn answers, TweetStorms. We turn them into SlideShares, and we create these like massive amount of content everywhere that's really valuable. Right? That's not just kind of fluffy. It's really, really valuable. But it assumes that no human being, nobody in our audience will read our stuff everywhere. And the truth is nobody does. Nobody really does. In 4 years of doing this, I've not had a single case where somebody got in touch with us and said, dude, I read this. I heard you publish this blog post and I saw it on Quora, and I heard you talk about the same tactic on our podcast. Jesus, you're always saying the same things. Now, that might be true if all I had was 5 original ideas. You know, I do this for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you see this everywhere. There's some people that are very famous that have written one book, and then 5 years down the road, they still give the same keynote, the same speeches, the same answers, they still share the same story. That obviously won't work. You have to generate new ideas, new tactics, new stories consistently, and that's a lot of pressure. But if you are able to do that, this strategy is going to kill it for you in your company, right? With 2 people, we've created a massive brand in sales. We're getting 60%, 50 to 60% of all our trials come to us through our content, right? The other 40% or 40 to 50%, if you're wondering, are word of mouth. That's it. But to do that, we had to discover our raw material, and we had to create evergreen content, was incredibly strong in our own voice, had a strong point of view, was very actionable and tactical and timeless, and then push it down the line where you remix and repurpose and reuse that content. This year, we've published 2 ebooks every single quarter. So almost every month we published a new book. People love these books. We have testimonials over testimonials of people reading the book on sales hiring, on follow-up strategy, on how to gain your first 1,000 customers. Like, we've written all these different books for different specific topics based on 4 years of hundreds, if not thousands of blog posts. And people didn't have time to read all our stuff to surface the best around a certain subject. But then when they read it in a form factor like a book, for instance, versus a number of blog posts, it really blows their mind. It changes their business, and they're internally grateful, and they take that form factor and they share it around. You're able to do different things with different form factors, right? At conferences, sometimes we'll print out these ebooks as real physical books, and I'll have signings, and we'll give out the books to the audience. We are launching those books sometimes on sites like Product Hunt. There's all kind of promotional things your sales team can do when you have like books versus just a collection of blog posts. Different form factors will open up a different world of marketing, and with that, a different audience. So it's a beautiful thing to do. But the basic idea is find your raw material and then push it down an assembly line that remixes and repurposes that content again and again and again and again. And you're going to be able to do an incredible amount of work with very little resources. All right, I hope this is useful to you. I'm looking forward to hear your content marketing strategies, the way you've built your content marketing machine. Share it in the comment section. If you have not done it yet, make sure to go to blog.close.io and subscribe. If you ever want to get in touch with me personally, just shoot me an email, stelly@close.io. Now let's go and get them.